All right, YouTube. Thank you for joining me, YouTube. Thank you for joining me. Here we go. All righty, welcome back. Monday, GSBN, Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Your host, Cornelius Brad Hanna, right here on Hanna Time. Live on Facebook, live on YouTube, Instagram also. You can also check it out on globalsportsbroadcastingnetwork.com live streaming if you want to listen to it on your device. If not, watch it right here as we're going to talk about boxing from Saturday night's heavyweight champ fight, and then the NFL. We're going to talk about the NFL with all its new proposal for the retiree players, the current players, what the owners of the NFL are going to propose or have proposed already to the NFLPA, the Players Association. And Luis Sharpe is going to rejoin me today, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are, and break it down. Luis Sharpe, former Arizona Cardinal, St. Louis Cardinal, Phoenix Cardinal, also was part of a lot of negotiation during another CBA, collective bargaining agreement. And so he's been in those war rooms, those battlegrounds, those negotiation, high-level, intense moments, but also opening up the doors for the players today. But it's about the players from yesterday that the NFL owners have placed something in its proposal to help to give more monies to those retired players from pre-2012. And we'll break that down. Is it enough? How does it work? Always helpful to have something more, but we'll break it down with Luis in a little bit here. But I do want to talk about the boxing fight a little bit first before we get into the NFL. Saturday night, heavyweight championship fight, Las Vegas, Tyson Fury, Great Britain, Deontay Wilder, the USA heavyweight champion, okay? And the fight didn't go as planned for Deontay Wilder. From early on, he was in trouble, and for early on and throughout the 7 rounds of fighting, he just was not the same fighter after getting hurt. But it clearly looks like Tyson Fury style of play, of fighting, was a little bit different than it was from the first time. From what I understood and see and analyzed, Tyson Fury had a little bit more different of an approach to this fight. And I don't think Deontay Wilder was prepared for it or even knew how to handle it. And he got hit a lot and a couple of big blows. Fury knocked down Wilder during a third round, a left to the body, and in the 5th round battered him around the ring for the most of the night. Wilder's corner threw in the towel, stopping the fight. Fury landed a pair of right hands in the 7th round that were devastating. And you can see Wilder not able to respond when you get hit. I was taught and learned a long time ago from one of Mike Tyson's trainers is the one way you analyze a fighter is when they get hit, how do they respond back? And from that point forward, you know if you have a fighter or not. Wilder didn't, he responded, but he was lethargically responding, and he was off. He was off. The key to it was getting hit in the side of the head, the hit in the ear, the bloody ear, the eardrum busted, throws off your balance, especially in a high tense fight like that. Wilder could not maintain a direction, focus, and balance, and it was an easy target for the powerful hitting and really quick hands of Fury. Tyson Fury is a very big, large guy, but he's got quick hands. He led a lot with his jab, and he followed it quickly with his overhand right. So his jab, long-reaching jab, really set up all the big blows that Wilder took. And so he leads with his jab and follows over with the right. And he kept on coming with it. But the jab was really interfering with Wilder's approach of one big blow, one big punch. I don't think Wilder is capable or has enough. I don't think Wilder is a boxer in the terms of understanding the whole entire, or has the the schematics of boxing skill set in a ring. And it was exposed again by Fury. When Fury was using boxing tactics that were good, some basic stuff, body shots, leading with your jab and following with a big punch that he had. I mean, he was able and moving around the ring and forcing the issue, meaning the champion was always backpedaling. Obviously, early on, he was hurt. He wasn't the same fighter, wasn't the same person. When you blow out your eardrum from a heavy, big punch, that's why you saw him fall down a lot, clumsily. And a couple of times he fell down, the referee waved it off, that it wasn't a knockdown. That's because he was losing balance. There was nothing upstairs. And the registration from the brain to the legs were not going through fast enough. He was an easy target. And so when they threw in the towel, which became somewhat controversial, it was probably the smartest thing to do. More damage to the brain, more damage to the ear, more damage to Wilder was coming. He was getting more tired. He was becoming a big, big target to hit. It was a matter of time for he got knocked down again, like in the 7th round. And he wasn't like being, the punching, the knockdowns were not devastating like big blows and shatters the face and the guy gets rocked. It was good enough and hard enough for him to just fall. But it looked lethargically going down, as if like he doesn't have the balance. The brain was not clicking, which is dangerous. It's boxing. Head damage, right? So never in the history of the heavyweight boxing has a towel been thrown in the middle of a fight, by an undefeated champion. It was controversial. A lot of people took a lot of comments about this over the weekend. Wilder got his butt whooped, plain and simple. Tyson is a better fighter. He's clearly the better fighter. If there's another rematch, I don't expect Deontay to beat Tyson. Not Mike Tyson. Tyson Fury. Okay? I don't expect him. I don't think he has what it takes. His fight game is not matching up well. And Fury knows it. And Fury has a more of a different style now. He had a new trainer. Everything changed up for this fight. And it clearly looked like he was the much better fighter from the start. Deontay was looking for the big punch once again, while Wilder kept on leading up while Fury kept leading with his jab, body blows, and finding the big shot and damaging him. Throwing in the towel, an eardrum busted, equilibrium was shot. I mean, think about yourself when you get rocked a little bit and you got a little woozy. Imagine that, and you got to stand in a ring with a big heavyweight fighter beating down on you. It's survival. I give Deontay a lot of credit for hanging around and fighting through it, but eventually that is brain damage. That is dangerous time, not just because you want to win and pride and ego. This is about your life. This is about and maybe we still don't know the after effects and long-term effects. What happened Saturday night to Deontay Wilder? It's a boxing fight. It's a fight. And bad things happen. So the aftermath of Fury's domination of Deontay Wilder on Saturday night at the MGM Grand in Vegas. So a lot of fights there. The co-trainer, Mark Breland. Mark Breland is the former gold medal. I mean, he was the Olympian. Breland was a great professional fighter too. But he's a trainer. He's been training Deontay Wilder for a while. But he wasn't the lead trainer. He was the co-trainer. Breland was the one who threw in the towel. The lead trainer didn't like it. Deontay looked confused. Why was a towel thrown in? But as a fighter, not like I was in any big fights like that, but Breland was a former fighter, understands the dangers at one point. At one point, you have to consider at all times, but at one point when that much damage is being absorbed, you got to make a decision to stop the fight. Kenny Bayless the referee, if you notice him during every round almost, especially towards the 5 and 6 and 7th round, he was looking at the eyes of Deontay. He was looking at his body language. He was closely thinking, wondering, when do I stop this fight? I got to give this guy a chance. But this, like, he was preparing himself. You can see it, but he let it go. And it looked like at the time the towel was thrown, Kenny Bayless was about to stop the fight. It wasn't like Deontay was, he was in danger of getting beat up more damage. That's what you're protecting the fighter. And it looked like Kenny Bayless was the guy, the referee, that was almost at the exact time Breland threw in the towel. And I don't have confirmation if Bayless saw the towel thrown in and jumped in, but it was pretty close to being almost identical thought process. But Breland did the right thing. The lead trainer didn't like it. He was upset. Sometimes you got to separate ego, emotions. The will to win is great. But there was serious damage. I mean, he blew out his eardrum. The equilibrium, everything was off. His balance was off. He wasn't the same fighter. You're not watching the same fight. And for him to expect to bounce back later on and be heroic, the chances get lesser when you're off, your equilibrium's off. You're deaf in one ear. You have blood coming out. You are off. You're not the same fighter, and you're tired. You're getting beat up. And Fury was just beating him down more and more. It could, in my eyes, it would have looked even uglier and sad that nobody would have stopped the fight sooner. So that's where I give Mark Breland a lot of props. I got to give him a lot of props to make that tough decision, even though he wasn't the lead trainer from Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury, you're a great fighter, man. you don't, like, you're awkward looking. You got like long, I wouldn't say skinny legs, but for a guy your size, you are the gypsy queen, king, not the queen, but you do have a queen, and she was at the fight. But you are a very unique looking fighter, right? Calling in right now is Luis Sharpe. Luis Sharpe is calling in right now, and I'm gonna switch gears to the NFL, right? Hey, Luis, how are you? Hey, Luis, I'm just wrapping up the last part of the boxing from Saturday night. It was really an entertaining fight, but sad in a way. But I was just wrapping it up about Mark Breland, the former Olympian great and professional fighter, throwing in the towel in the 7th round to protect his fighter, who was clearly bloody eardrum blown out, equilibrium just off balance, wasn't the same man. And it would look even uglier. And the safety of an athlete or anybody, you got to separate emotion and the will to win, and sometimes make a wise decision to protect a life, long-term damage. And I'm going to wrap it up right there because you're on the phone. So joining me right now is Luis Sharpe, former St. Louis Cardinal, Phoenix Cardinal, and now the current Arizona Cardinal team. Last week, Luis talked to me, and we talked about and discussed how the veterans, the retirees can benefit or should benefit, or do they want to help more to the guys who gave up their bodies and mind and soul to the game of football, the NFL. There is a proposal out there right now from the NFL. The owners themselves have put this together. Now it's up to the NFLPA to go ahead on it. So last week, the NFLPA Board of Player Representation or Representatives did not take a vote on the principal terms of the proposed collective bargaining agreement. In this agreement, Luis just shared information with me, broken down nicely, explained it very well. Of only players leadership looks forward to meeting this week. The NFLPA they're going to talk about it, maybe have an agreement this week, but there are discussions among the PA, the Players Association, this week before the board takes a vote shortly after. So we'll see how this plays out. Luis, you've been involved in this. You've looked it over a little bit. I'm happy to see that the retroactive increase to $550 a month for all pre 2012 vested players that have played in the NFL. I don't know if that's a lot much. I was expecting more, or am I missing something there? 550 a month. Go ahead, Luis. Increase? Okay. It's definitely a change. I think the NFL understands that if they're going to try to protect the future players or the players currently playing, that they actually stepped up to the plate. Now it's up to the PA. I'll be surprised if they turn it away. I mean, how hurtful would that be? I'll be surprised. But to get into more detail, this is a 10-year proposal. Okay, so does that mean in 10 years that the current proposal gets passed, that the veterans and the retirees have to wait to say, hey, you know what? Life is more expensive too. And we thank you for helping us, but we need more. I mean, or can they renegotiate this at one point? Now there's an HRA for vested veterans with no HRA, like a $50,000 lump sum. That's I guess they call it a health reimbursement account. Can you explain that? I mean, can you explain the health reimbursement account? What does that pertain? What is this $50,000 lump sum? Is that something that every pre 2012 player gets? And just Hmm.
for especially pre-93 players. We have absolutely no health insurance, no health coverage. So certainly that's another avenue that we would look forward to.
That's awesome to hear. Hey, at the hospital, 4 years ago, when I was doing another a talk show radio show in the morning, um, I was talking about building NFL hospitals, like like do something where players, retired players, can always go to. And I don't know if I was just the only one thinking. I didn't think had this brilliant idea alone. But here we are 4 years later, a creation of new network of hospitals in each team city, which is what I was saying, for former players to receive no cost physicals, preventative care, mental health counseling, outpatient orthopedic services, coverage of common surgeries to be phased in during course of the deal itself. Um, was that? I mean, has there been hospitals for you to be able to go to in your post career, or is this the first time this is happening?
No, this is all unprecedented.
Oh wow!
This has never happened. We have never even heard, other than people like yourself who have some form of compassion for us, the former players, and some of the things struggles that we have, the health struggles that we have. This is unprecedented, new territory, and something that is long overdue, and we most definitely welcome and look forward to its implementation.
Wow. It's fantastic in every NFL city. I just hope that the some of these retirees who are living in a place like Idaho and where there is no NFL city, can they actually get there? Or some of them may not even be able to fly anymore. It could be hard. I hope those things work out for them, for those players and retired players. That's one thing that came to mind is can everybody get there? Wages. Now this is other proposals involved for players' costs, or 47% of annual revenue in 2020. Uh, that's what plus around $100 million in new player costs above the current CBA for 2020. I'm just going to read this to you. Guaranteed 48% sharing of revenue in 2021, with the ability to increase percentages to 48.5%. This is for the players right now. Okay, this is why we're talking, why the retirees should have been able to dabble into the $5 billion to the that the players are going to be able to share during the course of a 10-year deal proposed because of the 17 game schedule proposal itself. So there's a lot of money to be shared. This is why this has been coming up, and why last week we were like, this better happen for guys like Luis and his fellow veterans that he played against, and the ones that came before him who are suffering, literally suffering. Minimal salaries. I mean, gosh, $100,000 increase for a rookie minimum. Fantastic. These are numbers that you and the guys and men before you open the door for these type of negotiations and the balance of sharing some trillions of dollars. Like, this is not million. We're talking like we're gonna hit a trillion mark here pretty soon. A lot of billions involved.
Absolutely.
A lot of billions involved.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And very, very much well deserved. The game has grown exponentially since I played.
right.
And players are very deserving of all that's being talked about with this current CBA. Now here's the thing, the flip side of it, and I understand that this is an issue apparently with a lot of the executive committee members, current executive committee members, and that is the effect of a 17 game schedule on the player long term stability. In other words,
And in 10 years or less, if the players are not happy and realize we'll know more how it's played out, because after 10 years, we'll know about more retired players and where is the economics involved in 10 years, a decade from now, like 2030, we're looking at. And is there more? And this and depends on the state of the game too, where it's at. The expectations are high that it'll be even bigger and better, but you never know how the world goes. Hey, improvements to the working conditions. Okay, mandated improvements to visiting team locker rooms, established standards to rehabilitation facilities, training rooms, equipment. Um, Active squad increase by one offensive lineman, development of improved safety metrics for the fields. These are some of the things being proposed. How about this, Luis? Training camp hours. When you played, this wasn't happening. Introduction of a 5-day. Go ahead. Introduction of a 5-day acclimatation period, a 2.5 hour limit on padded and full speed practices, limited time at facility during a given workday, limit of 16 days in pads. Think of that one. No more than 3 consecutive days for 3 out of the 5 weeks. No more than 2 consecutive days for 2 out of the 5 weeks. 3-day weekend at end of camp if 17 game is implemented. 2 days off in the first week, 1 day every seventh thereafter, and then finally limit of 4 joint practices if there's three preseason games. There's a lot there. You usually just throw on the pads and you just do, you know, um, a lot of hitting in your days. All right. So when you saw this latest statement from the NFL and you read it or you went over it, what was crossing your mind? What got you excited and what kind of went, I'm not quite sure about that one. Right. Yes. Yeah, pension increases 10%. The 401k matching contribution increased to $30,000. Annual increases thereafter. Annuity increased to $110,000 per year, increasing by 15,000 every other year. Tuition reimbursement. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to read it to you. Increases for active and former players. Life insurance, something you never had. The HRA again increases to 35,000 with an increase. These are for the active players too, by the way. Adding vision coverage. How about that? Vision coverage. I mean, I cannot believe you wouldn't even have that 10 years ago. I can't. How many fingers did you get in the eye?
I can't tell you how many. A lot of them were intentional. Yeah,
Wow.
to mind, Randy White comes to mind. He say that. Um, but again, it shows a commitment. It shows a sheer desire on behalf of the owners to get something done, and so will be interesting to see how the union leadership responds. I think last I heard, the executive committee, what yeah, I've got a conflicting story. Some people said the executive committee voted 6-5 against presenting the proposal to the board, 32 player reps. Some have said that they have not yet voted, and they're waiting for upper management to have another discussion with NFL ownership before they take a vote. Mm-hmm. So apparently everything's up in the air. We have to wait and see from here what happens next.
Yeah, there's an injury protection for these active players of 100% of salary up to $2 million, which is fantastic. Extended injury protection of 100% of salary up to $1 million. So there's career insurance now, like injury career insurance, which is something unheard of. Like I when you have got your injury, you never had an injury in your life. That would have been nice at that point. I know it's not the way you want to go out, but there's something there. I mean, you lost your career on the football field. You were actively on the job. A lot of jobs have compensation for that. In the NFL, it wasn't quite like that for you.
No, those are excellent. Absolutely. That's having that accommodation or that feeling of security and knowing that if you do get injured, that after the season you're injured, your salary can be protected at some level. That's reassuring, and obviously that has value. That's significant value. Absolutely.
There is a termination pay increase also. So when you get terminated, you're going to get some financial help out the door. The signing benefit to 35% of remaining salary or 2 weeks salary at the applicable minimum salary. So there's money going out. They increase that. Like most places will be good to you by going out when they fire you. Practice squad players. How about this? Guys who are on the practice squad, they're eligible for $5,000 of tuition benefits and a 401k with a match of $1,500. So even the practice squads, those guys get beat up in practice. I mean, I think they used to, at least when you played. Rights. I'm just going to go through more of this with you. Clear parameters for ownership and usage of players' data from sensors. Overall reduction in on-field fines. Reduction in club fines. Implementation of neutral decision-making for most commissioner discipline cases. All right, and here's another one that has come a long way for the NFL and any sport. THC, the drug policy, marijuana. Narrows the testing window for 4 months to 2 weeks. So they're going to test you more, a lot more frequently, but it reduces the penalties to players who test positive for the THC, eliminating any game suspension strictly for positive tests. Reduces the number of players subjected to testing for THC. Okay, it increases the nanogram limit from 35 to 150. So you're going to be able to THC marijuana in the NFL. Obviously, limitations. Um, right to be paid over a 34-week pay period for the 17 weeks. These are for the current players in the league, the active players, and new workers' comp process to enable easier filing for players, making injury care for accessible or being more accessible. So, are you okay with that? With this THC new drug policy, not getting suspended, not losing money? You know, because I can think of certain like Matavius Bryant lost a full year of professional football because he tested positive for a THC, and that's a lot of money for a guy who was dealing with mental issues. You know, more and beyond than the normal person. You know, and that's why I believe it's important. I think a lot of people, and I believe in medical marijuana. By the way, any thoughts on that?
And that's the lay of the land. That's the law of the land. And so obviously the NFL has no recourse but to follow suit. It's becoming legal in many states. It's being criminalized, and it makes absolutely no sense for them to continue with some of their antiquated policies regarding the THC and marijuana issues. So I think it's a smart move on their part.
I'm going to throw out something else out there. Last week, I brought it up as Leisure World for the NFL retirees, like somewhere in Arizona, Florida, South Texas, somewhere warm, maybe Southern California, where retired players can actually retire in a community with fellow retirees and their family or wife, you know, and have a community where, like any retirement 55 plus community would have. Is that like too exaggerated in my part? I like the idea because I think and believe it helps for safety issues, for medical emergency issues. There's a lot of lonely retired players out there. I feel like this is what I think of, you know, for our elders. You still there?
I don't see how. I don't see. I don't want to see myself, in a retirement living situation where I have to be careful. But I think there's many of my cohorts, many of my alumni brethren that are at that place and need to be somewhere where they are assisted with their living, and something that's worth taking a look at. If that's what I'm understanding you now.
Yes. 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 Yeah, you're in great shape. You look great. I mean, we all see what you're doing on, but not everybody's a Luis Sharpe. You were in a positive comment. You were a freak of nature in the 80s. The players today are matching what you were doing 30 years ago in athletic ability. So, and it's showing in your, I mean, look where you've come from and you're still going strong. So you are a different breed in that one aspect. You're right. And you're very fortunate too, because the game could have taken a lot from you physically. So I do worry about those players. I worry about my own dad. I worry about myself when I'm a senior. Where am I going to be? You know, this is life, you know, for elders. And we should not take it lightly.
No, absolutely. And we need to. You're right. We need to plan ahead. We need to make plans, and we need to recognize that that's our responsibility. Make sure that our elders, whether it be former retired players, whether it be our mothers and fathers, we have a responsibility to make sure that they're well cared for in their elderly years.
Mhm. Well said, man. Hey, any last thoughts before I let you go? Because I appreciate it. This is not going to be the last time we talk about it. Obviously, we'll learn more about the proposal, and hopefully the players, maybe they'll play hardball. I don't know. Maybe they're looking for more. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. And the thing is, you run a risk if you turn this down. To say that you're not going to get the same thing that they're offering now, you make it less. By not accepting this proposal. So that's another consideration. If you thinking about playing hardball, it might end up getting less. So we'll see what happens.
do you believe, or would you? It's hard to be on the outside looking in on this one. The pressure for the NFLPA to come through on something because of the retired players are sitting like yourself and just watching like, come on guys, like let's get this done, man. This is big for, the guys. I mean, the guys that open the door for you. Like there are so many players waiting and watching this. Like, the pressure must be pretty strong. I assume they understand that. I assume they understand that. You know, because
Oh, absolutely. We have some of the NFL Hall of Famers like Jim Brown, like wide receiver Seattle, Steve Largent, Anthony Munoz that have spoken out and talked about some of our brotherhood that are struggling immensely, and how it is that we're celebrating all of the many accomplishments of the league in 100 years, and you have these players that are homeless and without. Absolutely, there's pressure to get something done and get it done expediently. I would think.
yeah, we're talking billions of dollars, and I can only assume also that guys like Jim Brown, Largent, are in the ears, maybe, or I don't know if they are go that far. I think Jim Brown, as an advocate as he has been, and in many positive ways, I wouldn't be surprised if he's saying, "Fellas, I'm the Godfather here. Get this done." Like and I wouldn't be surprised.
You think maybe he's made a phone call or two?
Yeah. The Godfather's made a call. There's no doubt. And we'll,
Absolutely. Well, let's hope so.
all right, Luis. Appreciate your time again. Very informative, and yeah, we'll replay this later on today too. So if anybody wants to watch and listen to Luis's comments, he's been in these battle rooms, these negotiations during his career. He was one of the reps for the Cardinals, or the rep for the Cardinal back in those days, and so he understands. He understands what goes on, and it's never easy. All right. So all right, Luis. Thank you so much. Love you.
All right, man. Love your show. Love you. And say hello to everyone. Dawn from
The
UK
UK.
and all the friends of Cornelius.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
The Bird Gang. You got the hello. There it is. All righty, guys. Thank you, Luis.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Bye bye. All right. There you have it. Luis Sharpe spending some time on the Hanna Time show. I hope you enjoyed that. You know, you, you get a lot of information. I try to guide it through because there's so much to talk about. And Luis is on it, but like he said, it's never, it's like you don't get the full details. You just get what you can. Okay. So Roger and NK and Steven and Don and Diana and Choo Choo in the house, same way as always. Roger Braun, Janie in the house, appreciate it. Antonio Peñano in the house. Let's see who else is popping in. I want to say hello to Todd. Thank you for popping in again. Victoria Slayer. Hey, Victoria. Charles Bidwell III. Hey, Charles. Hope you enjoyed that. Let's see. More popping in here. Sly Lewis popping. I appreciate it, guys. See your comments. Very strong. A lot of you commenting on this. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. The fellas, the men that play the game of football. Oh my gosh. What a change that has been waiting on for a very long time for these ex former players, the ones that you rooted for decades. Okay, do you know where they are? If there was a show called "Do You Know Where They Are?" These NFL players, or do you know what they're doing, kind of thing. You're going to be surprised, or you probably know already, being surprised of a very struggling lifestyle, financially and physically. And from what I understand from Luis, it's very significant increase. These pensions and these monies going towards the retired players, which is really big. I'm so happy to hear it. But at the same time, we have to wait and see how this plays out and how it all active. Remember, these players today are making an average. I think the minimum now will be about $600,000 plus $600,000 for the rookie minimum contract or anything minimum. $600,000. That's fantastic. When guys like Luis Sharpe played, $1 million was a boatload back then. Now they're getting over a $500,000 to be a kicker, to be a rookie on a roster, as a backup, on special teams, something, right? Good for them. Good for them, because one play can change it all. One injury can change it all. The hope and promise of a career can end on one play. Whatever it may be. Could take out your legs, brain damage, more severe than that. Can take it all away. And that's why the money's being shared and helping others, and the retired players who have never really been able to make this kind of money. My father never played professional sports. He was actually called in by the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he never went for it. His career in broadcasting was his love, but he was a track star in college. My father, a track star. Anyhow, his career, gives you an example of back then and what we are doing today in society financially. So in the 60s and the 70s, my father was a very popular broadcaster in New York City. Some considered him the guy. Okay? TV stations, local TV stations wanted him on TV, but they never guaranteed him the money. They never guaranteed him anything big other than month-to-month contracts on TV to a 6-month contract. My father had a big family. Didn't want to risk and then moving on. So he took a chance and stayed away from the television part, being an anchor, like a Dan Rather. It would have been Dan Rather. That's how close my father was. That's how great he was. But he wasn't making that kind of money. Just like the players in other industries. You weren't making that kind of money. Yeah, my father probably would have made well over $1 million today, in today's world. Right? In this modern era of media, broadcasting, the way these guys are making money, millions of dollars, talking smack. So, for an NFL football player, back in those days, you worked 2 jobs. Matter of fact, there was a time my dad did work 2 jobs because it wasn't coming in. The popularity was there. The fame was there. But the money was never there. Times have changed. There's more money. For whatever reason it is. But you can imagine that a player with physical problems, because back then there was no money and trying to survive off of it. Big difference. My father doesn't have to worry about physical problems from working the job as a broadcaster. But an NFL player has to, or a professional athlete like a hockey player, or a basketball player with damaged knees, running up and down, pounding the wooden floors of professional basketball. Never easy. Damages you for long term. But when the money's not there for retirement, and there was no life insurance, there was no retirement plan for players like this, no protection. The fact there's no insurance involved for NFL players until now, or at least being proposed. It hasn't been accepted. I'll be surprised if the players do not accept this, unless they want more, unless there's something more. And like Luis Sharpe did mention, you risk something if you go in not accepting what the owners proposed, because you may not get what you want. They may take back something that is on the table that is beneficial. But the point of this conversation today with Luis Sharpe was about the retired players and how the proposals there for the current ownership of the NFL knowingly and actually stepping up to the plate. You know, you can talk the talk, but you got to walk it. And the owners are walking it. They put it out there. They want to help the players that made this game great. After 100 years, the ones that are surviving and living and getting by will get some major financial help. And don't forget this, it helps the wife. The wife that sits there with their husband every day, trying to get through the bills, trying to think for them because mentally, maybe they're not all there. Some of these older players. A big deal. And these NFL wives are going through a lot. And we're going to keep reminding that. It's not just the guys, it's the family that's been through a lot. Okay, guys, I appreciate your comments. I got a few more minutes. Okay. And I see you, Tom. Tom Branham in the house. Choo choo. A lot of changes for the NFL if this goes through with the practices and trying to protect the players' well-being too. Legalizing marijuana for the NFL, yeah, it's there. Legalizing marijuana, but it's going to be restricted. They're increasing the volume of intake of marijuana. That is the legal or the acceptance rate of the NFL, which means that the NFL itself is going to accept a certain amount of intake of marijuana. Now, if it's extraordinary high kind of stuff, then the NFL is not going to be happy about it. They're going to suspend you. So there is suspension involved, but the increase of intake of THC, marijuana, has increased for the acceptance of the NFL, where you won't get suspended, you still get paid, blah, 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 blah. But if it goes over and above, then there's a different area that you're going to be probably looked at and suspended. Okay, but I think they're increasing this a little bit more. Barbara, welcome in there. Barbie Hernandez, and then Barbara Meza in the house, Clayla in the house, Felix in the house, Luis in the house. Always. Thank you, Luis, for popping in this morning. Todd, the weed is a getaway drug. Maybe I'm just against drugs. I don't see why allowing drugs, period. That's what happens when you have long hair in your mouth. Nice comment. It's always a sketchy, dangerous point to open up doors to drugs or enhancements. But through research and studies, the helpfulness of a natural, let's put it this way, guys, as long as it's a natural herb from God-given earth, I don't know why it does hurt the body. God has given us this planet to feed off of it, to live off of it, right? Marijuana happens to be one of those things, right? My gosh, it is marijuana. So let's put this marijuana topic, not put it away, but at the same time, there are not going to be people happy with it. Now, this is a controlled environment. This is NFL monitoring, controlling, and understanding that through medical research, there has been a lot of helpful, not just for retired people in this world and people who have been hurt physically, but current players are hurt week to week, day to day, game to game. And to be able to have some benefit of recuperation, instead of taking some medical drug, chemical thing that has done more damage to the NFL player or to one of us, it destroys your, like taking a pharmaceutical drug may heal you, or doesn't heal you. It just band-aids, well, for what you said, to overcome an illness for that moment. Well, you're an NFL player. You got to get ready for the next game. And you're waking up and it's like, oh, like I remember Joe Klecko, New York Jet. Guy should be in the Hall of Fame. One of the best defensive tackles in the game. Joe Klecko was fantastic. And I remember trying to talk to him after a Dolphin game in the Orange Bowl in Miami. And I went over to him because it's Joe Klecko. And I said, hey, and he looked at me with these eyes of like, get the F away. Not because Well, for one, they lost. That I give it. And it's so hard to approach a ball player when they've lost a game that you care about. You want to win. So that's always hard. Joe Klecko's wired differently. But when I went over to him, I noticed that he was trying to stretch his leg out, his knee or knees, trying to get extension. He's in pain. This guy just played a game in pain. I wonder where is Joe Klecko today with minimal support. Now, Joe probably made a little bit more dollar than the pre-90. Well, no, he was pre-92. He was pre-92. So Joe is really in that area. I wonder about a Joe Klecko. What is, like, how many fake knee replacements did he get? So he's in pain after a game. He's got another game up in 6 days because that game was a Monday Night Football game. I recall that. So he's got 6 days to get ready for a Sunday game. He can barely get his legs stretched out. He just finished the game. It was not a pretty sight. And I understood why he would not want to talk to me or anybody. He was mean, but I was okay with it. I understand. But that's when I looked at it and I realized how much pain these guys are going through and what they went through without big support from the NFL. The retirement, the pensions were minimal. If that non-existent in today's world or the last 10 years, the last 20 years, think about that. Yeah. Think about your life the last 20, 30 years. The change, the economics of life. The rent was like $300, $400 to get a one-bedroom apartment. Now it's like $800 for a one-bedroom. I mean, that's change of time. Okay? A lot of things have changed. Things have gotten more expensive. But does it match our medical support, our insurances? You know, this has been a big thing in our life. But the NFL player, you're going to get a boost. You're going to get more support. God bless you. Thank you. The NFL is being very genuine, as it was put by Luis. But we'll see how the long-term effect of the NFL's proposal and where we are going to be by the year 2020 or 2030. By the year 2030. All right. My hair is a mess this morning. I'm trying to get my hair out of my way. All right. There we go. How about that? All right. All right. More comments, and then I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate it. Cal in the house, Crystal in the house, David in the house. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for popping in. I'm going to end it with the the boxing segment real quick, just to remind people what happened Saturday night. All right. So you had Tyson Fury beating down on Deontay Wilder, the heavyweight undefeated champion of the world. Fury knocks down Wilder with a right hand in the third and a left to the body in the fifth. Batted him around for 7 rounds. Wilder's corner threw in the towel. It wasn't even from their lead trainer. It was their assistant trainer, Mark Breland, who is a very credible former professional boxer and Olympian. Great. And Wilder had a bloody ear, blown out eardrum. He was equilibrium was way off. His balance the whole fight was way off after the big punch in that third round. The big right hand in the third round really just made him a half the fighter that he probably would have been that night. I still don't think he was going to win that fight. I think Fury's skill set does not match Deontay's skill set. Deontay was only going to win if it was going to be big punching and wearing down Fury where his big punching continues. Other than that, Deontay doesn't have much of a fight in that ring. Doesn't lead with his jab well. He throws his jab, but Tyson Fury's jab was highly effective. It bothered Wilder, and he followed up with a big right hand, and it just came in. It was jab right. It was quick jab, long extension, keeping him away, and following with a big right hand. And it was happening a lot, and a lot of body blows. Fury for a big guy, use all the 5 targets on a fighter, your opponent. There's 5 targets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's areas to hit. Okay, you got here, you got side of the head, each side of the temple, head. You got mid shot, body shots, all there. Tyson Fury seems to understand and uses that quite well. For Wilder to be upset that your trainer, assistant trainer Mark Breland, threw in the towel, he saved you. He saved you from more humiliation, more embarrassment in the ring. You were not going to get any better unless you got lucky with a big right hand. And even then, the damage that you would have taken to get to that big one punch to win a heavyweight championship fight may have more long-term effects than one punch that somehow maybe you got lucky. But the chances were lower and lowering itself as each second went by in that fight. By the 7th round, you were getting hit harder and you went down. Right? You were going down, but the rope saved you. You were hanging on for life at that point. So there is no controversy about throwing in the towel. It was protecting the fighter. It was, protecting the fighter, his health, his life. That's the bottom line. And if anybody watched that fight, you tell me if Fury was not going to lose that fight at that point. He already won the decision at that point in my eyes. Like, he was on he pretty much won. He won every round. He was winning the 7th round. The fight was over by decision, if that's the case. The only thing left for Deontay was to knock him out, and Deontay didn't look like he was able to do it. He was losing, and he was getting slower and more lethargic because fatigue. And then you have blood coming out. Where is that blood going? Is there any blood in the brain at that point? Nobody knows for sure what was really going on inside that head of Deontay, the dangers of it. And you went as far as you could have with Deontay being beat down like that. And it was now getting to critical. It was critical. Make a decision. So Deontay, you should not be upset with Breland. And the lead trainer, I don't think I want you in my corner in a fight anymore. I don't think you are strong enough and wise enough to make that decision. If you loved your fighter, if you cared about your fighter, you would have stopped that fight. You would never have let him come out of off that bench for the 7th round. You should have looked at your fighter and know that this is not a good thing. And we found out that Breland was suggesting to stop the fight. Do not continue the fight, but you went through with it. And by the middle of the 7th round, Breland said, I can't take this anymore. I got to let my guy live. I can't watch this. And that alone is brave enough, is strong enough, and wise enough. That, to me, is my trainer in the corner, is a Mark Breland, not the lead trainer that night. Very embarrassed for that situation. Very embarrassing. And, to go even further than that, I mean, Kenny Bayless, he did his best, Lead trainer Jay Diaz, he was pushing it, and it was getting way too close from danger. It was danger already. Was he looking for a miracle? If you love your fighter, you got to make a better decision than that. Your fighter was not fighting. He was throwing punches that weren't even effective. They weren't even affecting Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury just was setting him up, and it was going to get worse. Tyson Fury, he didn't even have to hit even hard anymore. He was putting punches to the head, to that ear, that was not pounding punches. It was enough to it was definitely effective. When you're hurt and your side of your head and your blood coming out of your ear, and somebody's still doing this to you, that's not going to be good. That's not going to feel comfortable. That's not helping the cause. That's hurting me more. doing more damage. And my equilibrium is way off. Because you notice how Deontay was wobbling all over the ring. He was falling down because he being pushed. His legs were gone. The brain was not connecting. Everything was off. Your hearing was off. It throws everything off. And then you don't know how much blood was really circulating inside that head of his. Beyond that point. Very dangerous. So Jay Diaz, the lead trainer, I don't want you in my corner anymore. I don't want you in anybody's corner. I don't trust you with my life going into a big fight because you are putting your life on the line in a boxing fight. Please understand that. It's a fight. And we've seen a lot of fighters in the last year die in the ring and after a fight, not able to come out of it. Danger. Hopefully, Deontay Wilder is doing better. Looked like it was okay, but you never know. You never know. Who was that famous actress who was skiing and fell and hit her head? Blood to the brain. Was it like an hour or two later, she was pronounced dead. Nobody knew how to handle it, whatever it was. Like, I don't know. But that's how sensitive it is. In boxing, you're getting hit all the time. In football, your head always getting contact. Think about that. Okay? Comments coming in, then we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, David. Wilson in the house. Ernest in the house. Luis Sharpe agreed. Weed is a drug. And this is Luis Sharpe commenting still. Thank you, Luis. Appreciate it. And I'm being a person in recovery from addiction will never use or advocate the use of any mind or mood attending substance. However, I'm not in the position to, legislate morality and speak on behalf of any other human being regarding, and this is important, regarding their thoughts matching my own individual perspective on marijuana. With marijuana becoming legalized throughout the land, the NFL is forced to reevaluate their drug plan and make more consistent with legalization of weed throughout the land. This is from Luis Sharpe. I'm going to use that quote later. I'm going to post it. I think it's very wise and very balanced answer and comment from Luis Sharpe. I'm drug-free guy and, kind of thing. I don't believe, but I do understand that it leads to worse. Alcoholism leads to worse things in life. It breaks you down. You go further. Right? It's like, taking one drug and then it goes to another drug. I mean, this is the cycle of it. The path of taking drugs for recreational use. This is not recreational. We're talking medical. But we are very concerned. I am still very concerned about society who are taking medical marijuana, and where are they? Who are they? And are they driving behind the car, behind a wheel of a car? And what is going on with that aspect of society? It concerns me. We need to be responsible. But for an NFL player, and there is beautiful results of recovery and healing the body through this, and players are going to continue to smoke. They find ways. Players are going to find ways to do this. Now, it was a 4-month testing process, meaning every 4 months a player could get tested. But now it's every 2 weeks. So now the NFL is going to make sure every 2 weeks. And what they're going to be doing is making sure that the players are not going over and above, or they control the substance of THC, which is now legal in the NFL up to a certain amount. Okay, let me go back to it, and then we'll end the show. Okay, it's just been a boxing NFL show. All right, so let's go back to the THC and the amount the NFL is accepting for the THC, okay? So where is it here? Working conditions. At the bottom of my list, I'm thinking, all right, drug policy. Okay, so nanograms, all right? You want a gram of this, want a gram of that, you don't want to talk street talk? All right. eliminating any game suspensions. Players would have been suspended with a nanogram limit of 35. Okay, now it's from 35 to 150. Okay, meaning they're allowing this increase of acceptance in the NFL so nobody can get suspended in the NFL. So now they're increasing up to 150. That's a pretty significant increase, okay, of nanograms. Okay, that's the limitation that the NFL has in place for its proposal to the NFL Players Association. Okay, now it's a 7-week schedule, 17-game schedule out there that's going to be is being proposed, right? So that means the players' right to be paid over a 34-week pay period for 17 weeks. They want to help them. They believe that the THC can help these players even during the regular season and the off season. They're allowed to heal, and that the science and research says it heals. Okay, so be responsible. Don't abuse it. You're still going to get suspended if you abuse it. Okay? It reduces the penalties to players who test positive by increasing those nanograms, eliminating any game suspension strictly from a positive test. Okay? So now there's a testing window. Okay? So the testing window goes from 4 months to 2 weeks. So they're going to be on you. They're going to make sure. All right? They're not going to let this get, 4 weeks. You could be smoking out the house, then get tested. Not happening. So the NFL is taking its own precautions for this, protection for this, for their game. And let's see where it goes. Let's see if it works, or maybe it needs to be more or less. Like, this is okay. We need to discover and learn and educate, but it's up to the individual of all types of people. The human race, people itself need to understand. Taking too much, right? Doing too much, right? It's your responsibility. And you know the limitations. You know where you need to be and not to be. Can the human being be able to do this? Can the NFL player who smokes out his house, smokes out his car, wherever they are, they're smoking it out, can be able to say, cool, I can do this, but stay in control. Stay within the parameters that the NFL is saying, hey, we understand. Let's do this. Let's get this right. And we are here for you. The NFL is showing love for you now. The NFL is trying to say, we are worried about our game. We're worried about your health. We are looking for any alternative way we can possibly think of. THC. Not bad. Not bad. But there is a 17-game schedule involved. So the NFL better step up to the plate and offer a very balanced offering. Now, if the players do not agree with this, then I am dying to know what it is they want. So whatever we went through today with Luis Sharpe, we'll find out if the players want more of this or more of that on that proposal. We'll find out. But the owners are probably going to say, well, then we're going to take back this. I mean, this is negotiation. We'll find out. We'll find out. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Great comments today. Special guest is Luis Sharpe. Very strong comments today. Martin Adamas in the house. Thank you. Choo Choo. Don, thank you for popping in. Yes, Don, in the fight, Deontay Wilder was being held up by the ropes. He was surviving the fight. Yes, very much so. Hey, guys, comment. Reach out to Luis Sharpe anytime. He understands. He's been through a lot. His perspective on life is a very knowledgeable, experience, and God-given messenger. Very well, I would say very well, in my perspective, offering to go reach out to him. I think Luis would not turn it away, say hi. He really wants to help people more than ever before, and that's why he is an amazing, amazing man to be able to do what he's been doing. Amazing. And we only want the best for him and his family, too, who've been through a lot. So, and he understands. He understands the drug world. He understands the alcoholism world. He understands sleeping on concrete floors of jails. He understands the bottom of the bottom. He understands when you give up and you say, I surrender. And he surrendered to God. And that's why he's been a major advocate to the show. And our friendship started because of all this. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have somebody I can call up and go and talk to him about stuff. We always need people in our life we can turn to. We are a voice of good. We just need to use that voice of good and help each other out. So, all right. I love that part. I hope you appreciated it. Luis is there for you. I'm sure. I'll love to talk whatever he wants. Just talk to him and he'll let you know. He'll let you know. All right. Choo choo. Todd, Trevor, Luis, Don, Martin, I see you all there. I know everybody off the top of the show who came in on it. Thank you so much. It was a great Hanna Time show on this Monday. I will see you Tuesday. We'll get into more football. I got a lot of stories about football players, off-season stuff. We got baseball. Spring training started. How fun is that? It's spring. Like, yeah, we're coming on. This is it. Baseball. And any else news breaking stuff that we'll find throughout the next 24 hours. We'll bring it to you right here on Hanna Time, right here on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Much love to you. Keep loving your heart. Love yourself first. And then you can share that. And everything gets better. Okay? Love yourself first. Okay? All right. And love God. I almost forgot that one. All right. Let me get this out and we're out of here. YouTube people, I see you. I appreciate you all the time. Facebook people, I love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on a Tuesday. Thank you, Luis. You're a blessing to my life too, Luis Sharpe. Hall of Fame in my eyes, man, no matter what. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Love you. All right, Facebook and YouTube people, thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Tuesday.